Hey Deckers, it's that time of the month again where we look at the most played Steam Deck games by hours played for last month, which is the month of June. Bit of a shuffle in the list this month as Valve have changed the monthly most played, and we can actually even do this weekly, so let us know in the comments below if you would like a weekly most played update as well as the monthly going forwards. And we'll also be featuring our own stats from the SDG Companion App. Check it out on the iOS and App Store. So let's dive in with number 20, the Elder Scrolls V Skyrim Special Edition, down 3 places and almost falling out of the top 20. Battle ancient dragons like you've never seen. As Dragonborn, learn their secrets and harness their power for yourself. Play any type of character you can imagine and do whatever you want, as the legendary freedom of choice, storytelling and adventure of the Elder Scrolls is realised like never before. Running a pretty decent 60 frames per second on the OLED Steam Deck, but only going to give you around 2.5 to 3 hours gameplay at that, so you do want to cap the TDP and frame rate on this one if you want a longer playthrough, but otherwise playing fantastically well. Sticking firmly down in the 19th spot is Deep Rock Galactic Survivor, doing very well with around 10,000 daily active players on Steam. Kill bugs, upgrade your gear and delve ever deeper into the lethal caves of Hoxas. Collect and assemble a devastating array of guns, unleash hell upon wave after wave of alien monsters in fast and frantic combat, and tunnel your way to collect precious riches from deep within the cave walls. Also running at a decent 60 plus frames per second on the LCD and not quite 90 on the OLED, but as those hordes close in, the frames per second does dip a little bit, but capping it at 60 all round is definitely the best way to play this one. Dropping 7 places down to 18 is HELLDIVERS 2. Enlist in the Helldivers and join the fight for freedom across a hostile galaxy in a fast, frantic and ferocious third-person shooter. Rain down freedom from above, sneak through enemy territory, or grit your teeth and charge headfirst into the jaws of combat. Bouncing around on the 40 frames per second mark on pretty much lowest settings, but pushing a good 23 to 24 watts on the OLED, and will give you around 2 to 3 hours gameplay at best on this one. And when you take on the automatons, you'll be lucky to hold that 30 frames per second on higher difficulty, so be warned on that one. Jumping up a massive 9 places, making it back into the top 20 is Hogwarts Legacy. With the FSR 3.1 patch, this is definitely more playable, and we will take another look at this soon, but Hogwarts Legacy is an open world action RPG set in the world first introduced in the Harry Potter books. Embark on a journey through familiar and new locations as you explore and discover magical beasts, customize your character and craft potions, master spellcasting, upgrade talents, and become the wizard you want to be. Certain areas in Hogwarts and Hogsmeade definitely struggle down into the lower 30s, but this is definitely performing a lot better than it was in previous versions, so expect an update on the channel soon. Jumping up a massive 11 places, making it back into the top 20 is Monster Hunter World. Take on the role of a hunter and slay ferocious monsters in a living, breathing ecosystem where you can use the landscape and its diverse inhabitants to get the upper hand. Hunt alone or co-op with up to 3 other players and use materials collected to craft new gear to take on even bigger and badder beasts. Struggling to hold 60 frames per second on this one, even on medium to low settings. So you are going to be pushing the limits of the deck with this one, especially when you take on some of the bigger monsters, so you are better capping this at 30 frames per second to be safe. Non-mover at number 15, the incredibly simple but addictive Slay the Spire. Choose your cards wisely. Discover hundreds of cards to add to your deck with each attempt at climbing the spire. Whenever you embark on a journey up the spire, the layout differs every time. Choose a risky or safe path, face different enemies, different cards, different relics, and even different bosses. Playing at a solid 60 frames per second on the LCD, and when I did try this on the OLED it stayed at 60 as well, but you're going to get a good 5 to 6 hours playtime, so no high FPS needed for this one. Up 6 places to number 14 is Red Dead Redemption 2, arguably one of the best looking games you can play on the Steam Deck, and especially if you run this at medium to high graphics with 30 frames per second cap. However, you can push 40 to 50 in some of the sections, with it still looking absolutely gorgeous. Arthur Morgan and the Van der Linde gang are outlaws on the run. With federal agents and the best bounty hunters in the nation massing at their heels, the gang must rob, steal and fight their way across the rugged heartland of America in order to survive. Back up one place to number 13 is Cyberpunk 2077, one of my favourite games of all time, and still going strong with the new DLC, but not really worthy of its verified tag when you hit that Dogtown area. Otherwise it does run incredibly well on the deck and would be worthy of that 30 FPS cap once again. Cyberpunk 2077 is an open world action RPG set in the megalopocalypse of Night City, where you play as the cyberpunk mercenary wrapped up in a do-or-die fight for survival. The relationships you forge and the choices you make will shape the story and the world around you. Legends are made, what will yours be? Also up one place to number 12 is Grand Theft Auto 5. Still pushing an incredible 177,000 daily active players on Steam, with a new 30-day high this week, when a young street hustler, a retired bank robber and a terrifying psychopath find themselves entangled with the most frightening and deranged elements of the criminal underworld, the US government and entertainment industry. They must pull off a series of dangerous heists to survive in a ruthless city. With our latest settings from our performance roundup, if you haven't seen these, this runs at a pretty solid 60 frames per second on high graphic settings, so you can have a fantastic time with this, but we will have a dedicated video out soon. Dropping 5 places to number 11 is Vampire Survivors, the time survival game with minimalistic gameplay and roguelike elements. All about how long you can survive in this one, hence the name, but incredibly addictive, running at a solid 60 frames per second now after the initial patches, and giving you a good 3 to 5 hours worth of gameplay, depending on how big the hordes that you can get. So let us know if you've managed to survive the full 20 minutes on any of the maps on this one, and how many of the characters you've unlocked. Don't forget there is also now DLC available for this one. And a new entry into the charts, and about time, with Kingdom Hearts HD 1.5 plus 2.5 Remix jumping in at number 10. With up to 10,000 daily active players, you can see that this was a long awaited Steam release, with Kingdom Hearts 1.5 2.5 Remix being the essential collection of the first 6 stories in the Kingdom Hearts series. Collaboration between Disney and Square Enix, wield the legendary Keyblade and unlock the true power of friendship as you explore Disney worlds and defend them from darkness. The first 6 games all run at a capped 60 frames per second at pretty much highest graphic settings, with 30 in a lot of the cutscenes, so you're not going to have any issues playing through this one. Making it back into the charts after a fair step out, Dave the Diver. A combination of pixel and 3D graphics provides a stunning art style that showcases breathtaking underwater scenery. Explore and unravel the mysteries of the depths of the blue hole by day, and run an exotic sushi restaurant by night. Upgrade and forge equipment with collected resources from the sushi restaurant profits to prepare for the dangers that lurk in the unknown. And believe me, you do not want to get caught running out of air in the deep, especially when you've spent the last 10 to 15 minutes farming fish. Running at a solid 60 frames per second after a few rocky initial patches, but fantastic game on the deck no less. Up a staggering 8 places, Diablo 4, running fantastically well on the deck after all the latest updates, running at a good 60 frames per second in some areas, but averaging 40 really when the going gets tough, but pushing a good 23 to 24 watts, meaning only around 2.5 hours gameplay at best. Diablo 4 is the endless battle between the high heavens and the burning hells, as chaos threatens to consume Sanctuary. With ceaseless demons to slaughter, countless abilities to master, nightmarish dungeons and legendary loot, this vast open world brings a promise of adventure and devastation. Also dropping 4 places down to number 7 is the original Hades, but still pushing around 10,000 daily active players on Steam. As the immortal prince of the underworld, you'll wield the powers and mythic weapons of Olympus to break free from the clutches of the god of the dead himself, while growing stronger and unraveling more of the story with each unique escape attempt. Running at a solid 60 frames per second on the LCD and OLED, you're not going to have any issues with this one, and with its low TDP, you're going to be pushing at least 3 to 4 hours on battery as well. Although it's fallen down 4 places, it's been the most viewed game on the SDG Companion App over the last week. Fallout 4 comes in at number 6. As the sole survivor of Vault 111, you enter a world destroyed by nuclear war. Do whatever you want in a massive open world with hundreds of locations, characters and quests. The choices are all yours with the special character system. Bouncing between 40 and 60 frames per second in some of the more intense areas, but that is on high graphic settings, so you're going to have a fantastic time playing on the deck with this one. One of my favourite uncompleted games is back up 3 places into the top 5 at number 5, Baldur's Gate 3. Worthy of its verified tag for the Steam Deck until you get to Act 3 where it becomes almost unplayable. Abducted, infected, lost. You are turning into a monster, but as that corruption inside you grows, so does your power. That power may help you to survive, but there is a price to pay. And more than any ability, the bonds of trust you build within your party could be your greatest strength. Balatro back up 1 place to number 4. A very surprising poker roguelite where you combine valid poker hands with unique joker cards in order to create varied synergies and builds. If you're used to standard poker, you will have a bit of an advantage, but it all goes out the window when those joker cards come into play. Playing at a solid 60 on the LCD or 90 on the OLED and only pushing 8 watts means you're going to get a good 5 to 6 hours gameplay on this one, and you'll need it for your luck of the runs. Dropping 2 places but still up in the top 3 is Hades 2. This time, as the immortal princess of the underworld, you'll explore a bigger, deeper mythic world, vanquishing the forces of Titan of Time with the full might of Olympus behind you. In a sweeping story that continually unfolds through your every setback and accomplishment, built on the framework of the original Hades. If you liked that one, you're gonna absolutely love this one. Pushing a solid 90 on the OLED and 60 on the LCD with only around 11 watts, you're gonna get a good 4 to 5 hours on battery. Back up 2 places to number 2 is Stardew Valley. DLC is clearly keeping people hooked on this one with a solid 60 frames per second on the LCD and OLED, but only around 6 to 7 watts at the most on the TDP, so you're going to get a good 8 hours battery on this one, which is absolutely insane, and probably attributing to a lot of that playtime on deck. You've inherited your grandfather's old farm plot. Armed with hand-me-down tools and a few coins, you set out to begin your new life, and you learn to live off the land and turn these overgrown fields into a thriving home. And is it any surprise jumping back into the top 5 by going straight to number 1? Up 6 places is Elden Ring. With over 780,000 daily active Steam players in the last 30 days, it's no doubt that Elden Ring's DLC has brought all of the players back. Still running at a decent 30 frames per second in the more graphics intense areas on low to medium settings. We did publish a updated video on this when the DLC dropped. We still haven't managed to break into that DLC area yet, but we'll get there. Let us know if you've managed to make it or whether you're still fighting your way through the standard areas in the comments below. Rise tarnished and be guided by grace to brandish the power of the Elden Ring and become the Elden Lord in a vast world where open fields with a variety of situations and huge dungeons with complex 3-dimensional designs are seamlessly connected. Let us know in the comments below what you've been playing out of these most played games on Steam Deck, and be sure to subscribe to the channel for more updates and performance updates as well. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next one.